Hello, esteemed gentlemen. You will never truly understand a man who refuses to be defined. Some men walk into a room and demand attention. Others slip in unnoticed and still manage to control the entire atmosphere. The second type, that's the Sigma male. The man who moves without a trace, yet leaves a lasting impact. The one you can't quite figure out, but wish you could. Here's a fact: most of the world follows a social hierarchy. Sigmas don't. While alphas fight for dominance and betas seek approval, the Sigma male simply exists outside the system. Not because he's trying to be rebellious, but because, frankly, he just doesn't care. He doesn't need validation, he doesn't need a tribe, and he definitely doesn't need to impress you. And that, ironically, is why people are drawn to him like a psychological paradox wrapped in a leather jacket. Want to know how to spot a Sigma male instantly? It's not about who talks the loudest, who has the biggest social circle, or who looks the most mysterious. It's about presence, mindset, and an unshakable self-sufficiency that makes him the rarest kind of man in any room. Let's break it down. No cliches, no nonsense, just the raw truth. Number 1. His time is expensive, even if he's not rich. A Sigma male's time is expensive, even if his bank account isn't. Not because he walks around acting self-important, but because he understands something most people don't. Time is the one thing you can't get back. He doesn't waste it on meaningless conversations, shallow relationships, or activities that don't add real value to his life. That's why, when he gives you his time, you should take it seriously. It means you're not just another distraction. Unlike most people who spread themselves thin trying to please everyone, he operates differently. He doesn't entertain people just to avoid boredom. He doesn't stay in friendships that drain him. And he definitely doesn't invest his energy in relationships that go nowhere. If he's there, it's because he chooses to be, not because he feels obligated. This makes him both rare and unpredictable, because people are used to others bending over backward to be liked. Some mistake his selective nature for arrogance, but it's not that at all. He simply refuses to be accessible to everyone. Accessibility is a weakness in a world that constantly demands attention. Most people give their time away like cheap candy, scrolling mindlessly, engaging in gossip, saying yes to plans they don't even enjoy. The Sigma male, he treats his time like a vault, locked, secured, and only opened for those who truly deserve it. This is why he's often misunderstood. Some people take offense when he doesn't instantly reply, when he disappears for days, or when he doesn't engage in unnecessary small talk. What they don't realize is that his silence isn't rudeness, it's a filter. He moves differently because he values his energy. If you get a piece of his time, you've already passed a test you didn't even know you were taking. The result? When a Sigma male speaks, people listen. When he gives his time, it actually means something. And when he walks away, you'll notice. Not because he wants to prove a point, but because his absence feels heavier than most people's presence. Number 2, he's not a bad boy. He's unapologetically himself. A Sigma male doesn't waste time trying to fit into labels like bad boy or rebel. He doesn't need to. His strength doesn't come from trying to prove anything. It comes from the fact that he simply doesn't care what society expects of him. That alone makes him unpredictable. Most men who try to be bad boys are just performing. They dress a certain way, act reckless, and go out of their way to be defiant, all in an attempt to appear untouchable. But a Sigma male, he isn't interested in image. He doesn't throw tantrums against authority, pick unnecessary fights, or posture for attention. He just moves through life on his own terms. If that happens to make him seem rebellious, so be it. If it doesn't, he doesn't care. This is why people struggle to categorize him. He's not following a script. He doesn't try to be charming, but people find him compelling. He doesn't try to be intimidating, but his self-sufficiency makes others uneasy. He doesn't try to be mysterious, yet people can't figure him out. It's not an act, it's who he is. And because he doesn't conform or perform, he becomes impossible to predict. The biggest difference between a Sigma and a typical bad boy is this: bad boys want attention. They act out because they crave validation. A Sigma male? He acts because it's what he wants to do. Whether society, women, or authority figures approve or disapprove is completely irrelevant to him. His loyalty is to his own code. and he will not compromise it for anyone. This is what makes him powerful. He doesn't need permission to exist the way he does. He won't tone himself down to be more likable. He won't exaggerate himself to seem more dangerous. He simply operates as he sees fit, with no concern for whether the world can keep up. Number 3. He doesn't beg for loyalty, he commands it. A Sigma male never begs for loyalty because he doesn't need to. He understands a fundamental truth about human nature. Real respect isn't asked for, it's earned. Unlike others who chase approval, constantly reassure people, or try to prove their worth, he simply exists as he is. And that alone is enough. People can sense when someone is desperate for loyalty. It's in their tone, their actions, the way they try too hard to keep people close. But a Sigma male? He does the opposite. He gives you the space to leave at any time. No begging, no chasing, no emotional manipulation. And ironically, that's what makes people stay. His presence alone commands respect. It's not arrogance. It's the way he moves, the way he speaks, the way he handles himself. He doesn't need to raise his voice to be heard. He doesn't need to make threats to be taken seriously. He simply operates with a level of self-assurance that makes others recognize his value without him having to say a word. Loyalty, to him, is not something you can demand or negotiate. It's either given willingly or not at all. He won't waste time convincing people to stay in his life, and he won't tolerate disloyalty just to keep the peace. If someone proves unreliable, they're gone. No second chances, no drama. This is what makes him different from alphas, who often enforce loyalty through dominance, and betas, who try to buy it with submission. The Sigma male doesn't force, bribe, or manipulate. He simply is, and that's enough to inspire the kind of respect most men spend their entire lives chasing. Number 4. You can't find his weak spot easily. A Sigma male is a psychological fortress, not because he's trying to be, but because he's built differently. Most people have obvious weak spots, insecurities, emotional triggers, or the need for validation. But when you try to find a Sigma male's soft spot, you'll come up empty. He doesn't flinch at insults, doesn't crumble under pressure, and doesn't react when someone tries to manipulate him, and that's exactly what makes him so dangerous. People who thrive on control, whether in social circles, relationships, or power struggles, hate men like him. They rely on getting a reaction, on pushing the right buttons to make someone lose their cool. But when they try it on him, nothing. No anger, no frustration, just a calm, almost amused look, like he's watching a predictable scene play out in a bad movie. And that reaction, or lack of one, is what completely throws people off. This isn't an act. He's not pretending to be unaffected. He actually is. That's what makes him different from the guy who tries to act tough but eventually snaps. A Sigma male has already processed his emotions long before anyone else even realizes he has them. He doesn't suppress his feelings. He understands them. That's why no one can use them against him. If someone tries to insult him, he doesn't take it personally. He sees it as a reflection of them, not him. If someone tries to intimidate him, he doesn't back down, but he also doesn't waste energy proving himself. And if someone tries to manipulate him, they're in for a rude awakening because he recognizes games instantly and simply refuses to play. His ability to stay unshaken makes people uneasy. They don't know what he's thinking. They don't know if they're getting under his skin. And more often than not, they end up frustrated while he stays exactly the same, calm, in control, and completely untouchable. Number 5. Women are drawn to him, yet he barely tries. A Sigma male never has to chase women. They come to him. Not because he's flashy, not because he's playing games, but because his energy is different. Unlike most men who either try too hard or beg for attention, he moves through life with a quiet confidence that makes people curious. Women, especially, can't figure him out. And that's exactly what keeps them coming back. Most men operate in one of two ways. They either seek validation, constantly proving their worth, or seek control, trying to dominate interactions. A Sigma male does neither. He doesn't need to prove anything, and he has no interest in controlling anyone. He is simply himself, unapologetically. And that's what sets him apart. Women can sense when a man needs their attention. It's in his eyes, in his body language, in the way he tries to impress them. But a Sigma male? He doesn't need approval, and that makes him a psychological paradox. He's interested, but never desperate. He's present, but never attached. Women aren't used to that. They expect pursuit, compliments, or at least some sign that a man is actively trying to win them over. But when they get nothing but calm indifference, it messes with their minds. This isn't about arrogance or playing hard to get. He's not ignoring women to make them want him. He just genuinely doesn't chase. He enjoys a woman's presence if she adds value to his life, but if she doesn't, he lets her walk away without hesitation. And paradoxically, that's what makes them stay. Women are naturally drawn to mystery, and the Sigma male is a mystery they can't solve. They see a man who isn't affected by their games, who isn't seeking their validation, and who would be perfectly fine with or without them. That kind of detachment is rare and addictive. And so, without even trying, he becomes the man they can't stop thinking about. Number 6. His presence is heavy without being loud. A Sigma male doesn't need to raise his voice, flex his status, or command people's attention. Yet when he walks into a room, the atmosphere changes. It's not about what he says or does, it's about the energy he carries. People notice him, even if they can't explain why. Most men who want attention either force it through dominance, alphas, or seek it through approval, betas. The Sigma male does neither. He doesn't ask to be noticed. People just feel his presence. It's in his calmness, his self-assurance, the way he moves without needing permission. He's not performing, but he's impossible to ignore. In a room full of loud voices, his silence speaks the loudest. When he does speak, people listen. Not because he's the most talkative, but because he only speaks when necessary. His words carry weight because they are deliberate. There's no filler, no need to impress, just truth, stated plainly and with confidence. And that makes people pay attention. Even those who don't know him instinctively feel that he's different. There's a controlled intensity in him, a quiet but undeniable power that makes people tread carefully around him. Some mistake it for coldness, others for arrogance, but in reality it's just pure self-sufficiency. He doesn't need to dominate to be powerful. He doesn't need to prove himself to be respected. This is why his presence is heavy without being loud. He is not there to entertain, to impress, or to seek validation. He is simply there. And that alone is enough to shift the entire room. Number 7, he's not friendly. He's selectively approachable. A Sigma male doesn't waste time on forced interactions. He doesn't do fake smiles, meaningless small talk, or social niceties just to make people comfortable. If he speaks to you, it's not because he feels obligated, it's because he chooses to. And that's what makes his attention so rare. Most people are programmed to be socially agreeable. They smile when expected, laugh at unfunny jokes, and engage in pointless chatter just to avoid awkwardness. A Sigma male? He has no patience for any of that. He doesn't fill silences just to ease tension. He doesn't nod along just to seem polite. He speaks only when he sees value in the conversation. And if he doesn't, he stays silent without a second thought. This selective approachability makes him intriguing. Some mistake him for unfriendly, even rude. But those who understand him realize he's not being cold, he's just authentic. When he talks, you know it's real. When he gives you his time, it actually means something. And because he isn't constantly available, people naturally crave his attention more. His social energy is a privilege, not a given. Unlike those who hand it out freely to anyone, he guards his presence like a resource. Some will be confused by this. Others will be drawn in, fascinated by the fact that he isn't seeking approval like everyone else. But one thing is certain. If a Sigma male is talking to you, pay attention. Because he wouldn't be there if he didn't want to be. Number 8. He doesn't advertise his life, he guards it. A Sigma male's life is his business, and his alone. In a world where people overshare for attention, seek validation through updates, and broadcast every move for approval, he does the opposite. He guards his life like a vault. Not because he's hiding anything, but because he sees no reason to put himself on display. Most people confuse sharing with connection. They think the more they reveal, the closer people will feel to them. But a Sigma male knows that real connection isn't built on words. It's built on action, presence, and trust. That's why he doesn't feel the need to narrate his life. He lets people assume what they want while he moves in silence. You won't see him posting every thought, sharing every achievement, or explaining himself to the world. If something major happens in his life, you'll probably find out after it's already done, or maybe never at all. Not because he's secretive for the sake of it, but because he doesn't owe anyone a front-row seat to his existence. His privacy isn't a game or an act. It's simply the way he operates. This makes him unpredictable. People can't track his moves, anticipate his next step, or figure out what he's thinking. And that's what keeps them intrigued. While others spill every detail of their lives hoping for attention, he remains a mystery. Not because he's trying to be, but because he understands the power of keeping people guessing. Number 9. His body language is effortlessly dominant. A Sigma male doesn't need exaggerated gestures, forced confidence, or over-the-top displays of dominance. His presence alone commands attention without effort. Unlike men who puff out their chests, take up unnecessary space, or try too hard to look powerful, his dominance is completely natural. And that's what makes it even more intimidating. Everything about his body language is deliberate but unforced. His posture is strong yet relaxed, showing that he's in control but never tense. His movements are measured, no unnecessary fidgeting, no nervous habits. When he walks, he doesn't rush because he's never in a hurry to impress anyone. When he stands, he owns his space without even trying, and when he makes eye contact, it's unwavering, not aggressive, not performative, just steady, as if he sees straight through you. What makes his presence so powerful is that it's not a performance. Most men either shrink themselves to avoid confrontation or overcompensate by acting overly dominant. A Sigma male does neither. He simply moves with self-assurance, and people feel it. Whether in a crowded room or a quiet setting, he doesn't demand space. Space naturally adjusts to him. His lack of forced posturing confuses people. They can sense his confidence, but they can't pinpoint why. It's not about how loudly he speaks, how big his gestures are, or how much attention he seeks. It's in the calm certainty of his presence. And that's exactly why he stands out, even without saying a word. Number 10. He can talk to anyone, yet belongs to no one. A Sigma male moves through different social circles with ease, yet remains completely untouched by them. He can have a deep conversation with a billionaire without being impressed, a criminal without being intimidated, and an artist without trying to imitate their creativity. He understands people on a level most never do, yet belongs to no one. This isn't about being a chameleon or faking relatability. He doesn't pretend to fit in. He simply understands human nature so well that he can navigate any environment effortlessly. He picks up on social cues, recognizes unspoken power dynamics, and adjusts without compromising who he is. That's what separates him from others who either blindly conform or aggressively resist. A Sigma male does neither. He observes, engages, and moves on. What unsettles people is that they can't place him. He's not fully one of them, yet he's not an outsider either. He's the guy who can sit at any table, contribute meaningfully to the conversation, then disappear without a trace, leaving people wondering who the hell he actually is. Unlike those who seek belonging for validation, he doesn't need a tribe to define him. He can walk with the powerful without being their follower. He can connect with the misunderstood without adopting their struggles. He exists in his own space no matter where he is, and that's what makes him impossible to pin down. Number 11. He's an observer first, a participant second. A Sigma male never rushes into a situation blindly. He's not the loudest voice in the room, nor the first to speak. But don't mistake his silence for passivity. He's watching, analyzing, and absorbing everything. While others jump into conversations for attention or react impulsively to situations, he takes his time, letting people reveal who they are before he ever engages. This makes him incredibly sharp in social dynamics. He picks up on unspoken tensions, hidden motivations, and subtle power plays long before anyone else does. He notices the way people carry themselves, how they react under pressure, and what truly drives them. By the time someone thinks they have him figured out, he already understands them better than they understand themselves. Because of this, he rarely makes mistakes when dealing with people. He knows who to trust, who to avoid, and who is simply putting on an act. This is why he's never easily manipulated. He sees through facades instantly. People can lie with words, but their actions, body language, and patterns always betray them, and he never misses those details. When he finally does engage, he does so with purpose. He's not just talking to talk. His words, actions, and presence are calculated, designed for impact rather than empty noise. And because he's already observed more than anyone realizes, he always has the upper hand. Number 12. You can't define him. That's his greatest strength. A Sigma male is a paradox in motion. The moment you think you've figured him out, he shifts. He can be dominant without needing control, influential without seeking power, and charismatic without putting on an act. Try to label him and he'll prove you wrong. Try to predict him and he'll move in an entirely different direction. He exists outside the system, and that's exactly what makes him so powerful. Most people follow predictable patterns. They fit into roles, seek validation, or crave recognition. A Sigma male, he doesn't fit. One day, he's the quiet observer. The next, he's commanding the room without raising his voice. He can move between extremes, not to impress, but because he understands that true freedom comes from refusing to be defined. This is why people struggle to categorize him. He's not an alpha because he doesn't need followers. He's not a beta because he doesn't submit. He's not a lone wolf because he can lead if he chooses. He's not a rebel because he has no interest in proving anything. He simply is. And that unpredictability makes him untouchable. Society thrives on labels. It wants to put people in boxes to make them understandable and controllable. But a Sigma male? He burns the box and walks away. That's why he stands out. That's why people are drawn to him, and that's why no matter how hard anyone tries, he remains impossible to define. A Sigma male isn't defined by rules, expectations, or labels. He defines himself. He doesn't demand respect, yet people give it to him. He doesn't chase attention, yet he's unforgettable. He doesn't try to be mysterious, yet no one can quite figure him out. His power isn't in what he says, it's in who he is. This is why he stands apart. While others compete for status, approval, or control, he moves at his own pace, on his own terms, without asking for permission. His silence speaks louder than words, his presence carries weight without effort, and his mindset makes him untouchable. You can't predict him, manipulate him, or place him neatly into a category, and that's exactly what makes him so rare. People will wonder about him. Some will admire him, others will envy him, and many will misunderstand him. But none will forget him. Because a Sigma male doesn't just exist in the world, he moves through it like a ghost, leaving an impact without ever needing to prove a thing. If this breakdown of the Sigma male mindset resonated with you, don't just leave. Make your presence known. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss content like this. Like the video to show your support. Drop a comment with your thoughts and let's hear from you. Are you moving like a Sigma? Or have you just spotted one in your life? And if you know someone who needs to see this, share it. Because the ones who move in silence deserve to be understood, and the ones who don't, well, they might just learn something.